Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm going to do some frequently asked questions. Okay, so we got two kind of it looks like we might have competing conversation here. So let's look at this. This was a video I did where I was talking about, the question was like, should we be worried about the game's ability to retain new players and to excite new players and to, invite new players? Is this game, becoming too focused on the older players, was kind of the question. And I said in the video, I said lots of things. It's a 12-minute video, but I said, among other things, I said, look, the guys who are playing the game today are getting way more rewards than I ever got. The DEC is higher. DEC is worth more. The cards are worth 5 to 20 cents. I used to get cards that were worth half a penny. So plus the risk profile of this game today versus what it was 3 years ago is so different. When I was playing this game and there was 1,000 people playing, there was a great likelihood that the game would just disappear. Now with 400,000 people playing, there's a very small likelihood that it'll disappear. And therefore the risk profile for you people getting involved today is totally different. And so it should be less profitable now. That's an important point that you need to understand. It shouldn't be as profitable as it used to be because there was a totally different risk profile. People like me who were putting thousands of dollars into a game that might disappear overnight took more risk than you are today. But also the daily rewards are higher today than they used to be. So that kind of goes against the narrative that, new people are really suffering with this game. And I said all that in the video, and I said, stop focusing on like the 3-week turnaround or the 3-month turnaround and start focusing on the 3-year time horizon. And you're going to see that you're going to see those rewards. And it looks like Taylor's got an opinion and maybe Pewsplosion has a different opinion. So let's read them both. Taylor says, I don't understand the mindset of complaining about a game that has brought insane returns on investment to its players. Just be patient, and if everything goes according to the plan, you and everyone else participating in the game today will 3x to 5x whatever money that's put in. If not more in a few years' time. Don't matter how much you have or put in, getting the type of return vastly beats 8% annual returns with the S&P 500. This is totally true, Taylor. Like, traditional markets are so ridiculous. They don't even keep up with inflation, but I don't want to get caught in a digression here. I totally agree, Taylor. The problem is new players are under the illusion that they don't have to contribute anything to get an insane return. So many have drunk the NFT Kool-Aid and see projects for little reason, that for little reason have produced 6-figure NFTs. That's not Splinterlands. Got to build the economy and sustain it. Now, I do strongly agree that Splinterlands is different in its approach to growth. And it's clear to me that some other projects, and I'm not going to name names, but it seems to me certain projects have given away, what's that expression? They've given away the cow with the, like they burn out fast because of how they design. So yeah, they might have had a ton of players and maybe a lot of early excitement, but now they're kind of unimpressive, underwhelming. No one's talking about them. Why? Because they weren't building for the long run. They weren't iterating on what they had created. They weren't expanding the utility and the fun and the opportunity. It was like they stuck with what they had originally done, and people got over it. Splinterlands, we got so much growth around brawls, around the division of leagues, around the new packs every year, around land coming in, what that's going to be. So much going on. I think your point is well taken, Taylor. I'm in strong agreement with what you're saying here. Let's see what Pewsplosion says. The problem, in my opinion, that the devs and the vets seem to be missing is that there is zero focus on new player retention. Yeah, I disagree. Let's go on though. I've been saying this for months. I really like the game, and I'm okay with lots of things that they try to do in order to hold value into loyalty and investment. Okay, that's good. But you also have to capitalize on growth and give new players a reason to stay. This sentence to me seems disconnected from the rest. Like, but you have to capitalize on growth. Okay, yeah, you do have to capitalize on growth and give new players a reason to stay. This part loses me. You're getting Like I just said, the cards you're receiving by playing the game are probably between 10 and 40 times more expensive than the cards I used to get for playing the game. So that should be a reason to stay. The DEC you're getting per win is probably 5 to 500 times more than I was getting when I used to play because of the algorithmic inflation around DEC. The DEC itself is worth it's worth half a penny. The one DEC is supposed to be 1,000 DEC, so each DEC is supposed to be $1 times 0.0053. So 100 DEC equals 50 cents, but it's supposed to be 1,000 DEC equals $1. So it's literally 5. Is that 5 times? So if I went like this, 10. Yeah, it's 5 times the intended value. So, and that's at the current price, which is hugely reduced from the 1.6 cents per DEC, which I showed you a moment ago. So, what does that have to do with it? You said that where did I lose shit? Lost you. They need to give new players a reason to stay. The cards are 5 to 40 times more expensive that you're earning, the reward cards. The DEC is at least 5 to 10 times more plentiful that you're getting paid for playing. The DEC is worth 5 times what it was when I was getting paid with DEC. That right there to me are 3 amazing reasons that you are receiving amazing rewards for playing this game. So, and let's see if you give me any sort of refutation on that. Let's see if there's any pushback or any logical kind of, challenge to what I just said there. The reason old players' assets are 10xing is because of the massive growth creating demand. The hundreds of thousands of players that are joining can leave the game just as fast if they have no reason to stay. They do have reason to stay. You haven't established that they have no reason to stay. You've said it twice, but you haven't given any justification for it. The assets are going to just fall back to where they were once the demand will be gone. Yeah, that's a theory. You haven't given any justification for it though. Another issue with the game, in my opinion, is how many players that are actually staying, are really playing rather than only investing. Most of those people joining then quitting because there's no attention of non-new players. And I disagree. You haven't proven that point. Are the actual gamers? So you're saying there's a lot of people sticking around, but they're not putting a ton of money in. So that's fine. That's totally fine. That happens with time. It doesn't need to, like, as an old player, hear me, I don't care if this is a rocket ship to the moon or if it takes for, 10 years. Like, I'm enjoying the game. And so I don't need my cards to appreciate wildly for me to enjoy what I'm doing. If you feel that you need the economic incentive to enjoy the game, then you actually don't enjoy the game. And that's important to be honest about. I'm not trying to slag. I'm saying that's important to be honest about because it actually speaks to what you're hoping to get out of this. If you're willing to play the game for minimal or trivial reward, understanding that those trivial rewards could be worth meaningful amounts of money in the future, that's the sort of the sort of attitude that's going to gonna serve you well and actually gonna enable you to play this for the next 3-4 years when we enter that bear market and when prices do decline. And that'll be the attitude that will lead you to be the next big whale. But if you come at it from the perspective of today during a bull run, because this is still a bull run, if you come at it the attitude that these these returns are too trivial for you, then it's not going to be. This game just isn't for you because you're for some reason really fixated on how much you can get out of it financially in the short run, and that's not what this game has never offered that to anybody, to no one, and that's not what it's about. So I'm being quite forceful with this point because I just actually want to help you and anyone who has this opinion, shares this opinion, that this is not the game that's going to try and make you rich in 3 weeks or even 3 months. It's not even really aiming at making you rich, but it so happens if you happen to play it and give it your time and attention for a long enough time horizon, that these assets that are trivial in value, because of their deflationary nature, will appreciate wildly on a long enough time horizon. And that might be 4 years. If that to you feels like, you point earlier saying things like, you know, there is no reason to stay, or that there is zero focus on new players, well, you're getting tons of rewards. I just pointed you to 3 different rewards you're receiving I never got, but you don't acknowledge that as being meaningful. And so you clearly have an opinion that those are inadequate. If that's inadequate, then the, you know, the game's optional. No one makes anyone stay. So I would say that that's probably, I would challenge you to wrap your head around my points here, because I would encourage you that if you actually understand what this game is, then you're going to be one of the people that benefit in the next 3-4 years. But the attitude I'm reading here, and again, not trying to be aggressive or hurtful, just trying to actually provide a counterpoint so that you can think about it from another person's perspective on that one. I think you're gonna, even if you play it today with this type of attitude, in 2-3 months you won't, and then that's when the riches are going to be earned, though, by the way. So this is my point is, if you can write your attitude about what these rewards are, understanding that they are delayed, their true appreciation, their true value will be delayed, then you're going to get yourself in a position where through the next bear market, you're going to crush it, accumulating those assets when no one else wants to, and then see that amazing price appreciation. But if even these rewards today are inadequate to you, and by your definition equate to zero focus or no reason to stay, which are your words, then that would imply that the bear market is absolutely, you know, you're totally out of here. You're totally gone. And so people with this opinion should definitely not put any money into the game, because you're just not gonna get that true, you don't see where this is going. And that's why I'm speaking so clearly around, I'm trying to articulate where it's going and how you could, the value proposition here, because I don't think you have understood it to this point. And again, apologies if this sounds harsh, just like the video. Tough love for new players. My goal is actually to help people with your opinion, to try and see what this could be, because I don't think you do. I'm going to keep going though. I'm going to see, maybe there's more here that you are going to help me understand your position better. Okay. Let's see. So they quit when they realize they can't even experience the game beyond the starter cards. Well, again, you can. It'll take years to put together a deck with no startup capital. So the implication of this sentence is that you expect a quality starter deck for free. That's what the implication of this is. Why would the game start you off with cards beyond the starter deck? It shouldn't, it won't. That would be a bad idea. So if you want cards beyond the starter cards, you have to buy them. And that's been crystal clear from day one, all the way from the tippy top. Aggro saying things, you know, it's not free to play to earn. Even if it is kind of fun. Okay. I mean, you like it, I guess. That's good. Meanwhile, those that are staying are investing mostly, maybe playing some, maybe not. But dumping a few grand into DC and pulling in a daily airdrops is about as good as any investment opportunity that exists. What will happen when the airdrop ends? A lot of players that have stayed around sell out because they were only investors, not really players. I think that's a fair point. I think there will be people, especially in the bear market, and I've said this on my channel many times. The bear market's going to come, and when it comes, people like yourself will leave. And people like yourself will leave comments on my channel saying this game is dead. Even, maybe not you, but people are going to say Bitcoin is dead. And they're going to say Hive is dead. And they're going to say crypto is dead. And I'm going to ignore that entirely because I think it's nonsense. And I'm going to ignore the fact that there will be a dip in viewership, a dip in players. I'm going to ignore that all And I'm going to just continue to enjoy a game that I like playing. And I'm going to accumulate assets that I know for a fact are deflationary in nature. And I'm going to receive them for free through nothing but my time and attention. And then I'm going to accumulate those until the next bull run. And then people like yourself who feel that there's opportunity in bull runs only are going to come back. And you're right. It won't be 400,000 people. It'll be 4 million or 10 million people playing the game. And the prices will go crazy for the reasons you're actually pointing to. But that's why you need to prepare now. And I don't mean by going out and buying all these cards, and because you're making it sound, I think you're conflating two things. You're saying that people are investing a ton of money on speculation, but that will be lost. That's one point. But then you're saying that people will leave the game, and that's a totally different point. There's different people, right? So I think I don't care if most people leave. Even if most people leave, I bet there'll be at least 50,000 daily active players during the worst part of the bear market. That's my prediction. 50,000. And I'll be one of them. And that will be 50 times the number of daily active accounts that used to play when I started playing this game. That is a sizable growth, even if it is a gigantic step backward from where we're at right now. My card account will go from like where 170 were at its peak to, maybe it'll drop down to 25 or 30. But I again put in $5,000 to $7,000 for these cards, years ago. So a 5x on that value to me would be fine. I don't care about the short term, but I keep feeling you pulling back to the short term. You keep saying things like there's no reward, there's no focus on the new players. You mean over the last 3 months? I totally disagree for all the reasons I outlined, including those three, like your daily rewards, the card values, the DC value. All of that to me is a direct counter to your whole point. But setting that aside, if you just change your time horizon to 4 years out instead of 4 months out, your whole argument falls apart. And I want you to hear that with love, because it actually is a life-changing opportunity in front of you. And you're kind of saying, no, thanks. Like the attitude seems to be, if you were here, I'd love to hear you answer. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm trying to understand you sincerely, but it seems to be not good enough for me. I want some indication or some value today. Otherwise, no thanks. And that's your choice, of course. But I honestly think you're going to regret that. And that's why I speak to you in this way and take probably 15, 20 minutes now to talk about this, because I want you to hear what I think you're missing. Let's finish it out. Let's see. I've seen a lot of numbers thrown around about player base. 1 million plus spell books, about 500,000 daily active players, usually pointed out that a huge portion are bots. One thing I looked at is how many people really play at the top leagues. There are only about 2,000 to 4,000 players trying to compete in the Golden Champion. Outside of those people, I'd say there are a huge chance that remaining players fall into a few categories. Investors only, likely to quit after the airdrop ends. New players, likely to quit when they realize they need a ton of money to rank up. Or bots. Okay. Anyway, that's a lot of rambling. It's also negative, and I'm sorry for that. Okay, appreciate you saying that. I hope you hear what I'm saying, and even though I've been pushing back, I hope you hear that it really is intended to have a meaningful conversation with somebody who has a counterpoint to me, not as a point of hate or frustration or anger. I'd love to see your comment on this video and see what you say about that. So it's also new. Despite all that, I have high hopes for this game, and I've invested my life. Wow, there you go. He's invested his life savings. If that tells you anything about what I think of the actual game, there's still plenty of time for improvements to retention of the new features that can and hopefully will come along. Yes. I want to extend an olive branch, because you say here there's still plenty of time for improvements to retention or for new features that can and will come along. This is an important point that I'm willing to concede. This game needs more growth. there are more dimensions to where this game will reach, including land, including the new wild versus modern format. Those are 2 examples, but there will be many, many more examples that will come based on my trust with these developers. And so, to me, that raises the question, will those be executed well? Will the economy break when land comes out and when they introduce items and spells? Those are going to be almost necessary to compete at a high level. Will they break the economy in the sense that if you don't have land, you won't get items and spells? If you don't get items and spells, it's play to win. I'm not saying it will happen that way, but I am saying to you, as an olive branch, I see that there are opportunities, 1, to improve this game, and that they will keep seeking them, and 2, to break this game. And I trust that Splinterlands developer team will see those hurdles and avoid them. But that's my trust. That's a degree of faith. It's not logical. Well, it's partially logical. It's based on their prior performance. But I do not have a way to hold to in front of you and say, look, it's certain this game will continue to grow and improve. I can't say that. I just believe it. And I hear you saying your whole paragraph or your whole conversation really is you have a heart to see them execute that improvement process well, and that you want them to do it optimally, and that you envision ways that they could execute really great improvements, but you also fear about falling too far away from incentivizing new players. I wonder what you have to say. I want to close with this. I wonder what you have to say to the fact that I said, to what I said here. New players who start today are receiving monster cards that are 6 cents up to, these are just the commons. Let's go reward. 6 cents up to $1.50. $1.50. Gold, yeah, you could get gold, $2. See, are any of these the new ones? Arclaw, you could get $200 gold foil today playing the game. Okay. Oceanus, $2.25. So there are opportunities in every loot chest that are dramatically more valuable than I ever received playing this game 3 years ago. That's from the cards price perspective. First point. What do you say about that? Second, the DEC is worth 5 times what it used to be. 5 times. What do you say about the fact that every DEC you earn with every rank battle you win is worth 5 times what it used to be when I was getting it? And lastly, what do you say to the fact that because of the algorithmic inflation around DEC and how the DEC is disconnected from its intended peg value, the game prints more of it, meaning that you get, for this battle, I think it was, skip the results, I got 31 DEC for that victory at gold level 1 or 2 or something. I didn't used to get this sort of DEC. It was much, much lower. That's due to algorithmic inflation. That's because of how the system works, and because it's giving out more to try and bring the price down. So for the last 3 to 4 months, this has been so. Ever since the SPS airdrop began, DEC has spiked in price. The amount of DEC being printed has grown rapidly ever since July. So all new players have enjoyed those 3 benefits that I never had. And yes, I think that means absolutely there's a wild justification for new players to stick around. But that's the short term, and I don't like talking short term. Long term, there is a home run in front of you. There's an absolute life-changing opportunity with this thing. And I think in 4 years, these cards there will be another bull run. And all of the excitement you're seeing now around SPS and around coming to the game will grow again. There will be a new resurgence of that. And so that's 4 different points, 3 that are short term and 1 that's long term. And I wonder what you would have to say about that, because I think to articulate the real position of a new player, you need to fully respond to those 4 things. And if we engage in those topics very, I think, thoughtfully, we walk away from the conversation understanding that a win is dependent upon your time horizon. If you need something to happen for you with your portfolio in the next 3 months, this isn't the game. If you want something to happen with your portfolio in the next 4 years, I think have fun with this game. Think of it as fun first and rewarding second, as entertainment first and opportunity second, and then you're gonna be one of the people like me who are gonna really benefit. I feel strongly about that. I appreciate you leaving that detailed comment, and I hope you hear this in the vein that is intended, which is constructive and thoughtful feedback. I enjoy this sort of dialogue, this sort of give and take between people who disagree, because frankly, argument's not a dirty word. In today's day and age, we often run away from argument, and argument is like 2 people hate each other. I don't hate you. I'm glad you left that comment. I appreciate your investment in this channel and to spend time sharing your view. I hope you see that that's what I'm trying to offer back to you in this moment. And for everybody else, I hope you saw value and benefit from this conversation between opposing opinions on this game and the value proposition that it offers. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless.